I'd probably stay away from validation. Once things are validated, things get stagnant, complacent, non-progressive. I think what we've done in 7 months is what we know, and now we've put that on display for 4 weeks and played a pretty good brand of football, pretty consistent brand of football. It's taken a lot to get to this point. And really, the only guys with us now, the coaches with us now, from the time we got done in late November last year till now, really have experienced it. But I'd stay far away from validation. I just think it's not a math answer. It's not right or it's wrong. It's still in progress. So we're still loading. Still got a ton to clean up. And that ton might be minuscule in our eyes, but grand scheme in everybody else's eyes. We got to stop guys a little bit more on third down. We got to get better third down percentage on offense, score more touchdowns in the red zone. So, but we're going to pick and choose and nitpick at certain things as football coaches, but it's never good enough, and that's mentality. Doesn't mean it's not where it's good enough for that game, but you start playing games like last week and you start playing teams in front of you on the road in different environments that are a little bit more opportunistic. The same style you play might not get it done in the future weeks, but played 240 minutes of more than that football because of double overtime at Fresno, but excited about where we're at, but not happy where we're at. But our progression has been good, and it hasn't been for 4 weeks. It's been for 8 months. So still got a ton of work to do. We can't stand still.
As you've said all along, it gets no easier in the Big Sky. You guys get Idaho coming in here now, a top 5 team in the nation. You guys gave up a lot on the ground against UC Davis. Anthony Woods just had a huge game. Yep. What have you kind of seen from him, and how do you go about stopping him on Saturday?
Well, it's back-to-back weeks with guys in the backfield that don't only run it, but they get the ball in their hands in different ways, with screens or Wildcat with Larison Woods. He's preseason all-conference for a reason because he was all-conference last year. They've got guys up front that move positive. They're not simplistic at what they do, but they're not exotic at what they do. They're just really good at what they do. They hold their calls, they change their calls, they motion, they use 11 personnel probably 75% of the time. So they're not going to be in 20 personnel, then 0-0 person. They're not going to switch personnels on you. They're not going to give you a ton of possessions on offense. They run the ball. They keep time of possession in their favor. They're leading the league in time of possession, which doesn't say everything, but it says something. They possess the ball. They got a dynamic quarterback. They got multiple receivers. You can't focus on one because they got 3 this year, and probably a 4th that could beat you on any down. I don't know what weaknesses they have on their team. Bunch of new faces on defense, but they're playing better than they were last year. So it's almost scarier with new faces. And they're playing well. They're gelling well. They're 3-1 and up 17-0 kicking off in the Bay against California, and then they just couldn't get anything going after that. But scary team, scary coach staff. They do what they do, and they do it well, and they stay to what they intend to do and don't get too far from it. So having home, that's about the only advantage, like I told the team, we got playing outside, which I think the game should be played, is always outside at home, but it's a very, very, very tall task.
What's the importance of this game just from a regionality perspective and recruiting perspective? Obviously, there's you guys go head-to-head in a lot of things, just not all on the football field.
Yeah, it isn't just the 60 minutes or the 3 hours, because there's things year-round, whether it's recruiting, bragging rights. I will say this, when both teams are good, that makes this game better. It really does, for all involved. It makes it more intriguing, whether it's down there or up here. They got the best of us last year, and we weren't real excited about that, and they made a run and got to the playoffs and lost to a good SELA team, in the playoffs in the first round. And that's just by mishap because they missed a field goal at the end of the game. And so this is a good football team, bring a lot of guys back, a lot of production back on offense from a percentage standpoint. It's just better for all involved, whether it's regional, whether it's recruiting. We recruit and cross over some of the same guys, but it's not based on the outcome of this game. I mean, we as coaches can say, yeah, well, we won. Well, that's not going to – if we're attracting guys because of the outcome of this game, I don't know if we're we're recruiting the right guys, we're sending the right message, because more to it than just the 60 minutes as to why you pick a school. But I will say, I think all involved, when both teams are good, and we play every year, when we are good, that makes it that much more interesting, more intriguing, and less room for error for both sides. And it hasn't always been that way, but it's becoming that way, and we appreciate it. We like hard work. It makes us more detailed, but I think for all involved, the better both teams are, the better it is for everybody involved.
Can you take anything away from last year? I know you mentioned that there's differences now on both teams.
I mean, it was a microcosm of our season. Hung in there for 2 quarters. Felt sorry for ourselves. Didn't make enough plays. I think the first series of the game, we picked the ball off and got in the red zone. Then all of a sudden, didn't get any points out of the turnover. So it's they were on a good little streak before then. Davis got after them. It might have been the week before, so they were a little ornery. They got after us. They flat out got after us. But it was a battle for 2 quarters. But this game's 4, and I think this team we have this year through 4 games is a 4-quarter ball club. But that's going to be on display every week. What we were is what we were, and what we are going to be is what we're going to be. And so we're doing some really good things. Idaho's a scary football club. They're experienced. The freshman of the year of the country coming back. He doesn't make mistakes. He can beat you with his arm and his legs. They don't throw it very much. When they do, they're very effective in it. They, like I said, they got playmakers all over the field on both sides. So we've got to mix things up because against good teams, you can't just run base stuff. You got to run base stuff plus some. So field position, special teams are probably going to be the determiner, along with turnovers every week when you got two good clubs going against each other.
Kind of going off of what you mentioned about last year, I know you've been big about just leaving last year at the hat, but do you draw from that loss motivation from this game, or are you just expecting the guys to find their motivation because, hey, it's another game?
Well, it's a new club. Those that were in that Kibbie Dome last year, you got to take something from it, and it can't be smiles. It's got to be learning moments. Whether it's individual, schematics, team, you can draw from those things. You just can't let it determine what happened on third down last year in the third quarter. Is not going to determine what we decide to do in the third down, on Saturday in the third quarter. So I think that's the easiest thing to kind of parallel those things, and that's why you all do what you do to be able to ask those questions, and I respect that. I get that. But those guys in that building last year, there's an empty feeling in our souls, not in our stomachs, in our souls, leaving that game. They did what they did on the ground. They beat us up physically a little bit more than we had anticipated, and they played a whale of a ball game at the end of the day. And we had something to do with that, but they had more to do with that than we did. But this year's new, and this game, as much as it is a physical game, there's a lot of stuff between the ears that plays out on Saturdays, and I think we're more mentally tough than we were last year. But it's not a revenge. This isn't a revenge factor. That was a team that was on the road. That was a different year, different time. We're a new ball club. If we're strong enough mentally, we can reach back and draw some from that game. But we're not going to relive those moments and be motivated. Shouldn't be motivated by those moments because there's more to play for than just a revenge type of, attitude going back to last year.
Yeah, you were mentioning the mental toughness. Do you think your team has that to keep their emotions in check in any game? Doesn't let stuff boil over or get down on themselves?
I mean, we all naturally. To me, it's not necessarily getting down. It's a matter of coming out of it. We all have those high and low moments. How fast do you get away from those moments? Not stay too high, not get too low. That's the determining factor. There's always going to be some aha moments, and then all of a sudden it's okay. Now it's the next play. How fast can we bounce back from those good or bad situations? We are tough. We need to be tougher. I'm always trying to push those guys a little bit more, a little bit differently. But I think the last 4 games, but 3 games in particular, where they've been kind of back and forth. They've been tough moments. I think if you don't have those tough moments, I don't know that you can tell your team, hey, we were good in these moments. You can tell them, but it's not believable. When we've been in those moments and done it, it's a little bit more believable. So there'll be enough tough moments in these next 7 games, let alone these next 4 quarters. But we are extremely excited about playing the brand of ball we're playing, and that has a lot to do with our mental toughness.
Coach, last week you were adamant about the turnovers and preaching that your defense comes away with 3, you block the field goal at the end of the game. seeing that message like take shape in a game, that had to feel pretty good for your coaching staff.
Well, again, it goes with the believability. Sometimes you preach it, you don't get it for 3 weeks. I do know this, haven't been around ball long enough. When turnovers happen, they usually come in bunches. Usually it's not one a game. You might go drive for 2 or 3 games and have 4 or 5 in a game. And Marlon Jones early on, all of a sudden putting us up in that game with a pick 6 for the second game in a row. Not only was it a turnover, but it was 7 points off the turnover. That's almost like 2 and 1. And then the blocked field goal to end the game, or at least conceivably to end the game. That's almost like a double turnover because of the bigness in the moment and what it led to. And so, yes, we're always on the plus side. The challenge now is when we get to plus, plural plus margin in the turnover arena is utilize those turnovers and turn those into touchdowns. We had 10 points off 3 turnovers, and 7 of those were Marlon's points. And so we went dry on one drive late. Pick by Brock Harrison, didn't get anything out of it, and actually lost field position because we kicked the ball in the end zone. So trying to minimize the damage on those things, but maximize the points off the turnovers is kind of the next step. But some games are going to go without, and as long as we hold on to the football, this offense has a chance to do some good things, like many. But it helps when the defense causes 3 in a game and a blocked field goal to end it.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.